Have you ever wondered if using a cross in worship is actually acceptable to God? It's a question many people think about. Let's explore what the Bible says on this topic. Regardless of the exact shape of the instrument Jesus died on, there are some important facts and Bible verses to consider. First, God rejects worship that involves images or symbols. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verses 15 to 19, God clearly commanded the ancient Israelites not to make the form of any symbol for worship. This principle extends to Christians as well. The Apostle Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 14, to flee from idolatry. This strong command suggests that using any object, including a cross, as a focus of our worship could be seen as a form of idolatry, something God disapproves of. Second, let's look at the example of the first-century Christians. Did they use the cross in their worship? The historical and biblical records show they did not. The teachings and the examples set by the apostles are meant to be a pattern for all Christians to follow. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 15, we re-encourage to stand firm and hold to the traditions we were taught by the apostles. Since the cross wasn't part of their worship, it raises the question of why it became so prominent later on. This leads to a third point: the origin of using the cross in worship. Many historical sources indicate that it has pagan roots. Hundreds of years after Jesus' death, as the church began to deviate from the original teachings, new members were often allowed to keep their familiar pagan signs and symbols. As the Expanded Vine's Expository Dictionary of New Testament Words notes, the cross was one of these symbols. However, the Bible doesn't support the idea of adopting pagan symbols to attract new converts. On the contrary, 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17 tells believers to separate yourselves and quit touching the unclean thing. So, when we put it all together, God's command against using symbols in worship, the example of the early Christians, and the pagan origins of the cross's use in worship gives us a lot to think about. The Bible encourages us to worship God with spirit and truth, relying on our faith and understanding rather than on physical objects or symbols. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video thought-provoking, please give it a like and subscribe for more content that dives deep into the Scriptures. Thanks for watching.